Dear friends, I have another subject, individual rights, because that is on page 13 for you, ladies. Individual rights because the global network is also a menace of, and specifically to personal data of any kind. One only has to think of Facebook publishing photographs without the person concerned having any knowledge on it. The fact that the net does not forget is particularly controversial. One can hardly retrieve data once it is published. The right to privacy protection is particularly shattered by this particular fact. The usual, mostly national legal instruments fail. Counter-statements seem risible on the internet. An assessment of this implication in their entirety is impossible to grasp. One can only imagine how a person could lose his job because of one of such photos might have been published on the internet, as a consequence of which he might not find a new job because future employers now search social media platforms according to profiles of their candidates. Now, who is to blame for this loss? Who should pay for the damage? The person who uploaded the photo or the person who runs a social platform? Already, by the means of the criminal legislation of the respective nation, a particularly flagrant violation will at least be sanctioned post hoc. Nevertheless, the damage suffered can hardly even ever be entirely compensated for. Promising efforts have been made to teach forgetfulness to the internet. According to this idea, personal data should be provided with an expiration date, after which it self-destructs, and thus not be valid for all eternity, but only for a limited period of time. The pioneer of this idea is Victor Meyer-Schönberger from Oxford. We would hereby make the internet just and ephemeral as a good old newspaper and the famous adage, nothing is as old as yesterday's newspaper, would hold true to further assist the protection of one private person in spite of digitalization and globalization. All these questions have been raised for all states in a similar fashion. Therefore, they can only be solved in a consensus, and thus on an international basis. International agreements and treaties are the right way to overcome the limits of national laws with regard to the worldwide impact of the internet. We have no other chance. Dear colleagues, dear friends, we have a lot to discuss. We have a lot of work ahead of us. So let's roll up our sleeves, it's warm enough, and tackle these problems. Thank you for your attention. I hold my time.